we'll have a lot of reasons to use a drop-down list of departments. And rather than have that list created from scratch each time and have the list need to be maintained in several places, we're going to create it once and then use it over and over again in our site. Let me show you 3 different ways that we can do that. Let's click Add an App. Well, a best practice would be that we'd look to see if there was something here that said Departments, just in case, and I promise you there's not a built-in Departments app. Let's go Add an App, scroll to the bottom, and first we're going to look at Custom List. Click Custom List. Remember that we like short names and that we are indeed entering a URL. I'm going to create this. There's our list. Click to open it up. Put a new item in, and let's add one of our departments. For example, accounting, and save it. That's what this looks like. Let's add another new item. Housekeeping. What if I wanted to add another column to this list to be able to track if this department is an active department or whether it's an inactive department name? Let's go in and go to List, List Settings, scroll down to Columns, create a new column, and the column is Active. And it's not a text column, it's actually a yes/no checkbox. Is this department name currently in use? And we're going to say the default value is yes, and we will add this to the default view. Remember that we're creating an app, but it has different views, and the default view is going to be the All Items view. If we had chosen rather than active to make it inactive, then our default value would probably be no. And another possibility to deal with whether something's active or inactive is to have an inactive date so that when something becomes inactive, you can enter a date. And if that column is blank, you know the item is still active. Lots of different ways you can do this. But unless you want to either have items that are no longer valid on your list, or if you delete them, then you lose that information that that department ever existed. So if you don't want to lose your history and you don't want to have those artifacts on the current list that don't belong there, you need some way to filter your list. So I've added my new item to the list. There's title and there's active. Let's go back to our list. Remember that we added that column right here. If we edit this list, we have the ability to mark these as yes. Even though it's the new default value is yes, these items already existed. That's when it's nice to remember that you can actually fill in missing information. This is the first way to create this app. Let's delete it. Let's go to the list, List Settings, delete this list, and send it to the recycle bin. And notice my recycle bin over here now has 16 items in it, and that my department's app is no longer here. Now let's take a look at the second possibility. Add an app, scroll to the bottom, Custom List and Datasheet View. Pretty cool. Give it a name. Departments. Create it. Let's go into this list. This is what it looks like. Here's my first item. Accounting. Now, if I want to add another column here in the data sheet view, I simply click and say I'm going to enter, well, it's actually none of these types. So choose more column types, and I'm going to choose yes, no, and give this column a name, which is active. Default value is still yes. This should seem familiar. I can hit just a Y for yes. And as I tab, notice that I go quickly and easily from column to column. And I can add more columns if I wish. When I'm all done, I stop editing this list. This looks just fine. These two methods of adding apps are great methods for this type of list. A short list that you are willing to type that doesn't change very often. So Custom List and Custom List and Datasheet View allow you to create whatever types of lists you want. And if the data doesn't already exist in a spreadsheet somewhere, or in another data source, Access, SQL Server, even Microsoft Outlook or Exchange, Custom List and Custom List in Datasheet View are two great apps to quickly create custom lists. What if you already have data somewhere, though? I'll see you in the next movie.